Classroom-based assessment tools for literacy. The Philippine Informal Reading Inventory or Phil-IRI. It is a tool for teachers to identify students who are experiencing difficulties in learning to read early on. Thus, it is intended as a preventive measure. In other words, for example, teachers to catch students before they fail. The Phil-IRI was drafted in support of the Every Child a Reader program. It is a tool for classroom teachers to assess reading performance. It is a collection of graded passages designed to determine a student's reading level. The diagnostic approach embraces inclusionary principles that emphasize learner-centeredness and cultural sensitivity. The tool only provides approximations and must be used in combination with other available sources on information, and only teachers who have undergone the necessary training must administer it. The Phil-IRI group screening test can be administered by Filipino and English subject teachers in grade 3 to grade 6 Filipino and grade 4 to grade 6 English, while the Phil-IRI graded passages are administered by early language literacy and numeracy trained teachers to individual students who need further assessment. Stage 1. Initial screening using the group screening test. The Phil-IRI Group Screening Test, or GST, can help to determine which students will be given more individualized assessment. The group screening test has the following features. There is a screening test from grade 3 onwards. Each group screening test has 4 selections, each with multiple choice items. The screening test may be conducted in both English and Filipino. The total score of test items is 20 points. Those with a score of less than 14 will be referred for individualized assessment. The Phil-IRI is administered in 4 stages. The first stage is the initial screening of students using the Phil-IRI group screening test. This is conducted on the first quarter. In initial screening, all students from grade 3 undergo the Phil-IRI Filipino group screening test. All students from grade 4 to grade 6 undergo the Phil-IRI English group screening test. Class reading reports to be submitted to the principal. The purpose is to identify those who needs to undergo assessment using the Individualized Informal Reading Inventory tool. Students who get a score of 13 and below will undergo individual reading inventory. Those who got 14 and above will not undergo further testing or reading remediation and will discontinue the testing. On the second stage, students need to undergo further assessment. The teacher will administer the Phil-IRI graded passages to all identified learners individually as a pre-test. As mentioned earlier, both English and Filipino passages will be administered to grade 4 to 6, while Filipino passages will only administer to grade 3. The administration of the Phil-IRI pre-test silent reading is optional for readers and not to be administered to non-readers. For the next second and third quarter, Stage 3, the information gathered in the first 2 stages is then analyzed and used to design a special program. Teachers will provide reading intervention. It may be given individually or small group instruction. Fourth quarter, February to March. Stage 4. On the fourth quarter, which is stage 4, teachers will now conduct post-tests for those who were given a pre-test. Stage 2, administration of the pre-test individualized assessment. Decoding and word recognition. The ability to read words using phonics or sight word reading. Fluency. Reading with speed, accuracy, and prosody. Comprehension. The ability to glean meaning from what was read or listened to. Oral reading comprehension is assessed using graded passages in Filipino and English with the following features. Number 1. The passages for kindergarten to grade 3 are narrative text. Number 2. The passages for grade 4 to 7 are expository text. Expository text in Filipino focus on social studies concept, while those in English focus on science themes. Number 3. There are passages for the pre-test and the post-test. Each consists of 4 sets, Set A, B, C, and D. Number 4. The passages in each set are comparable in terms of concept load, level of vocabulary, sentence complexity, nature of themes, and cohesion of paragraphs. 5. Each passage is carefully written and text designed to develop mentally appropriate, in consideration of Abadsi's recommendation on the kind and size of fonts used and spacing options. The following font size are used for each grade level passage. For kindergarten to first grade, the recommended font style and size is Comic Sans. The font size is 18. Second grade, Comic Sans, font size 16. Third grade, Comic Sans, font size 14. Fourth to 7th grade, Comic Sans, font size is 12. We have 6 steps in administering Phil-IRI pretest. Step 1. Secure the necessary forms. Phil-IRI Form 3A and 3B, markahang papel ng panggradong level na teksto or grade level passage rating sheets, and that is Appendix D1 and D2. Phil-IRI Form 4, talaan ng individual ng pagbabasa or individual summary. Record, ISR, Appendix E. Step 2. Secure a complete set of the Phil-IRI test kit. Phil-IRI Manual for Administration. Phil-IRI test booklets for one-on-one administration. Teacher's copy, student's copy, timer, pen, recording device. Step 3. Set up the testing area. Secure an area conducive for testing. Well ventilated, well lit, and free from distraction. Make sure the testing kit is complete. Lay out the necessary materials like booklets, score sheets. Step 4. Prepare for testing. Review the procedures for administration and accompanying form. Determine the kind of test to be administered. Oral reading comprehension, listening comprehension, and silent reading comprehension. Determine the starting point. Step 5. Assess performance. Orient the test. Take or establish rapport and administer the test. Example, oral reading, listening comprehension, silent reading comprehension. Follow the procedure for administering the test. Ask the motivation questions. Let the pupil read, listen to the selection. After the child has read or listened to the selection, read the multiple choice items to the child and have the child answer all the questions. Step 6. Report the results. Summarize the data by filling out the forms in order to determine the student's reading profile. The Reading Miscue Inventory. When administering the Phil-IRI graded passages, both the teachers and the student need to have a copy of the passage to be read by the student. While the student is reading a passage orally, the teacher records every miscue committed. The most challenging part of using Phil-IRI conducting the Reading Miscue Inventory or RMI, which allows teachers to measure the oral reading performance of a learner. The following types of miscues should be noted. Types of miscues: mispronunciation. Marking the miscues, underline the text and write the phonetic spelling above it. For example, the underlined word is slide and the phonetic spelling is the slid. Scoring. How to score. Count as one error every mispronunciation. Note, the dialect variation should not be counted as an error. Omission. Circle the omitted unit of a language. For example, scoring. Count as one error a word or a phrase omitted. Substitution. Underline the text and write the substitute word above it. For example, monkey, and the substituted word is money. Count as one error every substitution. Insertion. Use a caret to show where the word or the words was inserted and write the word above the caret. For example, the lovely flowers in the vase. Count a word or a phrase inserted as one error. Repetition. Underline the portion of the text that was repeated. For example, they found it in the. Count as one error every word or phrase repeated. Transposition. Use a transpositional symbol over and under the letters or words transposed. Example, the girl is pretty, and we have here the symbol of transposition. Count as one error every transposition made. Reversal. Write the word, non-word, above the correct word. For example, count as one error every reversal made. Self-correction. Write S above the word that was self-corrected. This is the example. For the scoring, don't count a self-correction as an error. Getting the reading comprehension level. After the student I asked to read or listen to text, he or she is asked to answer questions about it. For each text, there are questions that cover the literal, integrative, critical, and applied dimensions of comprehension. The number of questions per passage is pegged to what the students can be expected to do per grade level. So we have here the grade level on the left side and the number of questions. For kindergarten and first grade, 5 questions. Second and third grade, 6 questions. Fourth and fifth grade, 7 questions. And 6th and 7th grade, 8 questions. For example, here we have, if Rosa was able to answer 5 of the 6 questions for the second grade passage correctly, we can compute for the percentage using formula below or by referring the table of percentage for comprehension scores. We have here the formula for computing percentage. For comprehension, we have here number of questions answered divided by total number of questions per passage times 100 is equal to percentage of comprehension score. So here, the number of correct answer is 5. The total number of question is 6. So we divide 5 to 6 times 100 and that is equal to 83. So that is Rosa's comprehension is 83%. Here's the table of percentage for reading comprehension. Scores for 5, 6, 7, and 8 items with the corresponding percentage. It is derived by dividing the number of correct answers over the number of questions and multiplying it by 100. So in our example a while ago, Rosa answered 83% of comprehension questions, which means that her comprehension performance is at the independent level. When administering the Phil-IRI, The reading miscue inventory must be conducted until the child's performance for each grade level passage has been determined to be independent, instructional, or frustration level. Independent level. Finding the independent level means that we are looking for the grade level passage that the child can read on his or her own without any assistance. At the independent level, the child is able to register performance at 97 to 100% in word, reading, and 80 to 100 comprehension. Once the independent and frustration levels have been determined, the oral reading test is discontinued. Instructional level. Finding the instructional level means that we are looking for the grade level passage that the child can read with support of a teacher. At the instructional level, the leader is able to register performance at 90 to 96% in word reading score and 59 to 79% in comprehension. Once the independent and frustration level have been determined, the oral reading test is discontinued. Frustration level. Finding the frustration level means that we are looking for the grade level passage that the child can no longer read and understand on his own. At the frustration level, the child is able to register an oral reading score of 89 and below in word reading and 58% and below in comprehension. Once the independent and frustration level have been determined, the oral reading test is discontinued. The teacher may also consider giving the Phil-IRI as an assessment of listening comprehension or silent reading comprehension. Step 1. Determine the starting point of graded passages based on the Phil-IRI GST row score. If the row score in the GST is 0 to 7 points, starts with the graded passage that is 3 grade level lower than current level. The GST is grade 6. Graded passage is grade 3. If the row score in the GST is 8 to 13 points, start with the graded passage that is 2 grade level lower than the current level. The GST is grade 3, graded passage is for grade 1. Step 2. For each passage, compute scores in word reading and comprehension to identify students' reading level, independent, instructional, or frustration level. For the step 3 that is only optional, administer the listening, comprehension, and silent reading test. Stage 3. Provision of specialized instruction. Once the second stage is completed, the result of the pretest will be used as a basis for designing appropriate instruction. Depending on the resources available, specialized instruction may be provided individually or in small groups. Aside from being used for planning specialized instruction, the pretest result may also be the basis for adjusting classroom teaching. Stage 4. Administration of the post-test or the individualized assessment. Once the intervention program has been completed, the child then undergoes another round for individualized assessment, but this time using the post-test passages. Data gathered from this assessment will help to determine the child's progress and indicate whether adjustments need to be made on the specialized instruction program for the child.